Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Taylor, and it has been a very long time since I've sat down to film a video. I don't know what's happened, but my motivation for filming lately has gone completely out the window. So to rectify that, I wanted to sit down today and talk about some books that I've read in the last couple months because I've definitely fallen behind with that. I definitely want to get back on top of it, so I figured this would be good motivation. I also apparently can't talk. I think I'm losing my voice. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the books that I've read in March, April, and May for 2022. Let's jump into it. Okay, so in March, I read 9 books. Now, if you guys remember, if you saw it on my channel, I was trying to do middle grade March, which I epically failed at. And the reason for that being is because I was trying to finish the Bridgerton series. So if you guys have seen that video up on my channel, I was trying to go through the entire Bridgerton series before the show came out. I did in fact manage to do that, but pretty much half of the series I ended up reading in March, which drastically took away from my middle grade March reading time. So without further ado, because I've discussed these in my Bridgerton vlog, I won't get too much into these, but this is When He Was Wicked, which is Francesca's story in the Bridgerton series, which I very much enjoyed. It's definitely the most steamy of all of the books, and I think I ended up giving this one a 3 out of 5. Next, we have Eloise's story, and I'm not totally going in order of which I read these. I'm kind of just picking them up and going through the pile, to be honest. But we have To Sir Philip with Love, which is Eloise's story. This was definitely one of my favorites of the entire series. I love Eloise both in book and in the show, and this was just fantastic. I think I ended up giving this one 4 or 5 out of 5 stars. This was great. Okay, next, for middle grade March, I did end up reading Pax by Sarah Pennypacker. This was good. It wasn't my favorite. This essentially follows a fox and a boy that are separated from each other due to his father, and it's set during, I think, World War II or World War I. I'm not sure entirely which one, but this was really cute. I did enjoy it. It wasn't my absolute favorite, but I'm glad I did read it, and I think I ended up giving this one 3 out of 5. Next, a really cute one that I did end up reading during middle grade March was What the Stars Are Made Of by Sarah Allen. This is about a girl with, what is the disease that she has? Turner syndrome, and they, I felt like, did a really great job of portraying that. I'd never heard of this before I even read the book, and I just thought that it was a really cute, definitely middle grade centric story. I did feel like I obviously wasn't the target audience for this because it does read quite young, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was cute, and I think I ended up giving this one 4 out of 5 stars. Next, one that I will forever pick up and just an automatic buy for me is anything by Amanda Lovelace. This is Unlock Your Storybook Heart. This was one of her latest releases in the Princess Saves Herself series. As you can see, I tabbed up quite a few of the poems that I was obsessed with. This kind of stuff is very Instagram-y, very fluffy type of poetry, but it definitely hits home for me, and they're very timely usually when I read them. So I really enjoyed this, and I think I ended up giving this one 5 out of 5. Next, for middle grade March, I ended up reading The Boxcar Children again. I did read a couple other ones from this series, but didn't choose to include them just because certain middle grade I try to just, I can read it in one sitting. It's pretty quick to acknowledge, especially if it's in a series like this one. But this, of course, is The Beloved Boxcar Children, about 4 children that go and live in a boxcar to try and escape who they think is their evil uncle. And it's really cute. It's basic. This was one I loved growing up as a kid, so it's definitely always a nostalgic read for me. And yeah, I enjoyed it. Okay, next we had Romancing Mr. Bridgerton, which is, of course, Penelope and Colin's story. I'm really going to be interested to see how they adapt this for the 3rd season of the show coming out. I think it'll be quite interesting to see, just based on how their kind of stories have evolved away from the books. But yeah, this one overall wasn't my favorite. It was a little bit dry. I do love Penelope and Colin as characters, but overall just wasn't my favorite. So I think I ended up giving this one 3 out of 5 stars. Okay, next for middle grade March, I read Freak the Mighty by Roderick Philbrick. This is a book I read in elementary school, I believe, way back in the day, and kind of had mostly forgotten about it till I started rereading it, and it was devastating. It's just one of those books that's just really challenging to read because of the subject matter. It's basically about two boys that essentially become unlikely friends. One of them who's always kind of thought to be really big and dumb and slow based on kind of his appearance, and the other one who has a disease that fortunately leaves him unable to walk. And they just become really great friends. And yeah, it's really sad. It's heartbreaking and was just, yeah, it was about as good as what I remembered. So I think I ended up giving this one 4 out of 5 stars. Okay, and the last one that I read for middle grade March was definitely my favorite, and this is The Circus of Stolen Dreams by Lorelei Savarin, and this is essentially about a girl named Andrea whose brother Francisco's missing, and she essentially ends up finding this magical dream world called Reverie in the woods near her home. And it was really, really good. It kind of reminded me of like a Coraline-esque type of story, just with where things aren't quite what they appear to be. And I actually really enjoyed this. I thought this was really good, really memorable. And yeah, this for sure for me out of any of them was my favorite. Let's hop into April's reading month. So April for me was a reading month of a lot of graphic novels and the completion of the Bridgerton series, which I realized I didn't finish in March, I finished in April. So the last two in the series are, of course, It's in His Kiss, which is Hyacinth's story, which I actually very much enjoyed as well. This I gave 4 out of 5 stars. I loved the dynamic of her and what's his name? Gareth. I thought they were so cute together. Hyacinth definitely reminds me significantly more of Eloise and her character in the show, so I liked this one a lot. And then we finished the series out with On the Way to the Wedding, which is Gregory's story. Again, I just liked how these stories tended to build upon themselves, especially in the second half of the series. They just seemed to mature a little bit more. I liked this a lot with just how it was built out. The dynamic was really good. I think I ended up giving this one 4 out of 5 stars as well. Okay, now let's talk about quite a few graphic novels. The first one we have is Punderworld by Linda Sejic, and this one was cute. It's essentially a Hades and Persephone's love story. I actually read another Hades and Persephone's graphic novel, which we'll get to for next month. But this one was really cute. I really, really liked the art style of this. It just was a little bit forgettable. Like, there wasn't really anything with this that was like groundbreaking or revolutionary, but the art style itself I really liked. It looked kind of cartoony, which was kind of cool. Like, it could be like an animated series. I'm not really sure if there's going to be a continuation with this. I'm assuming there will be based on how it ended. But yeah, again, nothing too crazy. I liked it. I like a good Hades and Persephone's retelling, but I think I ended up just giving this one 3 out of 5 stars. Okay, next, one that I really thought was super cute. This is Chef's Kiss by Garrett Melendez, and this was adorable. So this is about a guy named Ben who essentially is just trying to find his dream job and ends up going to work for this the restaurant, and basically kind of turns into this whole fiasco phenomenon where he has to prove his worth to the cooking staff and goes through all of these things while also beginning to form a really close attachment to one of the chefs in the restaurant. It's adorable. It's really cute. I liked the friendship dynamic. I thought this was great. And the art style was also super cute as well. So if you guys haven't checked this one out, I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars and thought it was adorable. Okay, another graphic novel. This is Between the Shades of Grey, the graphic novel by Ruta Sepetys, which was adapted and did the art by Dave Kopka. This was a really good story. The art was really beautiful, very kind of sketch style designs. This is, of course, about a girl named Lena Velasquez, who's arrested by the Soviet secret police and deported from Lithuania to Siberia with her mother and younger brother, and just the horrific things that they endured during World War II. This this was definitely a heartbreaking story. I've read the original novel and wanted to see it in more of a graphic novel form. I did really enjoy it. It's hard to read for sure, just the horrible, horrific things that they're forced to go through. But definitely think it's great if you want to check out the novel but want a shorter version of it for sure. And I think I ended up giving this one 4 out of 5 stars. Okay, next, my new favorite middle grade series of graphic novel that I think is going to be continuing for me for sure is Wingbearer by Marjorie Liu. And this is essentially about a girl named Zulu who is raised by the bird spirits, but then essentially learns where she has to find out more about her life, where she came from. Obviously she's not a bird, and it just includes this amazing cast of characters. The art in this again is absolutely beautiful and stunning, just the coloring. I just thought this was really, really good. I liked where the story went. I thought it was super cute. And yeah, I'm definitely going to be continuing in this series for sure. I think I ended up giving this one 4 out of 5 stars, and I'm obsessed. Okay, next, jumping back into the novel world, I ended up reading Funny Farm by Lori Zaleski. This is a nonfiction novel about a woman's life who has a farm, 15 acres in the Pinelands of southern New Jersey. And it basically goes back and forth between the animals that she keeps on her farm, subsequently with kind of the story of her life and how she came to be at this farm. It's super cute. The animals are adorable. I thought it was a really relatable story, something kind of more memorable. Yeah, overall just a cute, pretty quick read. I enjoyed it, and I think I ended up giving it 3 out of 5 stars. Okay, next we have The Fox Tower and Other Tales, a collection of magical short stories by Yu-Han Lee. This was interesting. This was one of those literary books where I feel like I'm not smart enough for something like this, in the sense that a lot of the writing is very symbolical. They're really short, like little vignettes almost of these little stories about a bunch of different things, like foxes falling in love and robots building their own dragons. And I just feel like I didn't get it, which is unfortunate, obviously, but it was really good. I did enjoy it. It's just something that I think went a little bit over my head, so I think I ended up giving this one 2 or 3 stars out of 5. But it is cute. It's very lyrical, very symbolic. I just don't think I got what was trying to be communicated, so there's that. Okay, and the last book that I read for the month of April was Happy People Are Annoying by Josh Peck. So obviously, if you're aware who Josh Peck is, he is Josh from Drake and Josh, one of my absolute favorite shows growing up as a kid. And this is just talking about his life and different aspects of it, and just how he kind of came to be where he is today, through both Vine and the internet and different things like that. I'll be honest, this wasn't my favorite. I really wish they had spent more time in the kind of Drake and Josh season of his life. He kind of really glossed over that whole portion of it, and I get that for him is something that's kind of not something maybe to totally focus on, but it would have been cool to get more like funny stories from that time, or like kind of behind the scenes aspects, things like that. But yeah, it wasn't my favorite. A lot of it seemed very kind of punchy, Instagram-y advice. And yeah, overall it wasn't my favorite. I love Drake and Josh obviously as a show. I loved watching Josh's Vines when he was on Vine. But yeah, overall this one just didn't do it for me, and I think I ended up giving it 2 stars. Okay, and the last month of recent reads, let's talk about May. So in May, I read 6 books. So let's discuss. The first one I read, which I think I did a reading vlog for, is Buy Yourself the Effing Lilies. This is by Tara Schuster. This is a self-help book for basically a girl in her late 20s going through life trying to just make herself the best version of herself possible. I did enjoy this. A lot of this was really applicable advice and things that were really cute. There were aspects of this that I couldn't fully relate to, unfortunately, just with her family life and things like that were a little different from my own experience. But overall, I did really enjoy this, and I ended up giving this one, I think, 3 out of 5 stars. So if you do want kind of a funny, self-realized, quirky kind of self-help book, this is a pretty good one. Okay, next I read yet another very poignant poetry book for where I was at in life, and this is Flowers on the Moon by Billy Chapta. This is, again, kind of in the same vein of kind of the Amanda Lovelace Instagrammy-esque poetry. Again, a lot of these really hit home with where I was at in my place in life. Like, for example, the quote on the back is, "I'm not for everyone, and that is my magic. You cannot take that from me." And for where I'm at in life, a lot of these were very fitting and symbolic and touched my soul just a little bit. So if you do need a new poetry book, I would highly recommend checking this one out. 5 out of 5. Okay, next, jumping back into the novel world, I read The Ogress and the Orphans by Kelly Barnhill, who is, of course, the author of The Girl That Drank the Moon. I loved The Girl That Drank the Moon, so I had really high hopes jumping into this, and I'll be honest, I enjoyed this, but it wasn't what I was hoping for. The story is a very slow burn in terms of just speaking to the kindness of neighbors and kind of just how greed and selfishness can really take away from a community as well as people themselves. I kind of called a lot of things before they were like big plot twists, which I think was kind of hard, but again, obviously this is more tailored towards a more middle grade novel audience, so to be expected. As always, I love her writing style, just as her narration style and just the way she kind of speaks to the audience was just amazing. So yeah, I really did enjoy this. It wasn't quite what I was hoping for though, but overall it was a really cute story if you're wanting to check out a new middle grade. So I think I ended up giving this one 3 out of 5 stars. Okay, next, again, talking about the Hades Persephone's journey that I'm on with graphic novels, I read Lore of Olympus, which is, of course, a very highly loved and beloved graphic novel series. The second one is coming out in a couple months, and I'm so excited. I actually really enjoyed this. Again, it's kind of a more modern day take on Hades and Persephone. The art style is pretty unique and pretty cool in terms of the coloring and just the graphic style I thought was great. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. I thought this was really, really cute and I liked it a lot. I think I ended up giving this 4 out of 5 stars. So if you want a new graphic novel to check out, definitely recommend. Okay, next, another novel is The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. This was pretty much kind of what I expected. It's a split, a split following of 2 different women, or a few different women actually, I would say. One in the 1700s, and one in modern day, and it basically follows Nella, who sells well-disguised potions to use against the oppressive men in their lives, and then Caroline Parswell finds an aged apothecary vial in the River Thames, and I just thought this was really, really good. It was cute. It was pretty short read, to be honest. I got through it, I think, in a couple of days, and yeah, I wasn't quite sure where all it was going to go, but I did enjoy it. It was a really good one. I got this one last year, and I'm trying to be better about reading books in a timely manner, so I am glad I read this one. Wasn't totally my favorite, but still a good book nonetheless if you like more historical fiction, and so I think I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. Okay, and the last one I've read in May was The Prince and the Dressmaker, which is a reread for me. This is, I think, one of my favorite graphic novels of all time. This is by Jen Wang, and this is about a girl and a prince who essentially go through a whole process of kind of remaking the prince into a whole other persona. It's fantastic, it's inclusive, it's beautifully drawn. I love this so, so much. And yeah, I just really got to a point where I finally picked this up for a physical copy and highly enjoyed it. So if you guys, again, want another graphic novel recommendation, highly recommend it. All right, friends, so that is everything I read recently in the last 3 months of March, April, and May. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know down in the comments below what you're reading recently. Also, as well, I would love content ideas from you guys. What are you looking to see from me? I love getting your guys' feedback, recommendations, and suggestions. As I mentioned, I've been in a little bit of a creative slump, so any recommendations would be delightful. But yeah, other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to see more of my face, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!